solutions and the keys to your home.
The time by NHT is
8 o'clock.
For several weeks now, Labourites have been calling into radio talk shows, lamenting the fact that the party is yet to settle the issue of who will replace Audrey in northeast Manchester. Last Monday, the party General Secretary Dr. Horace Chang stepped forward and confirmed that Senator Audrey Marks would be the party's standard bearer. So, the JLP replacing Audrey with Audrey. Have the Labourites settled? Early indicators are that they are falling into line, even though there are still some grumbling on the sidelines about who should have been the one given that distinction. As far as the party is concerned, that issue is settled, and it's now about getting Senator Marks integrated in the constituency as she fights to hold on to a seat that the JLP have had in their hands since 1993. And guess what? Senator Marks is my guest on Lead Story Prime this Tuesday, CVM TV. So it's no secret that the council for the Craighead Division, Omar Miller, was interested in the seat. In fact, he was mentioned by Audley Shaw, name dropped as the man most likely to, that he wanted to succeed him. Hydron McCluskey, the school principal, also had a strong interest in the seat. But for some reason, the party secretariat decided that neither of those two men was really cutting the mustard. No disrespect to them, but you hear people on the ground in northeast Manchester say, look, we've had a representative since 1993 who's been, if not opposition spokesman on finance, has been a finance minister, a senior member of the government when the JLP is in power, a senior member of the opposition when they are out of power. So we want and we're used to a certain profile of candidate, which is perhaps what caused the JLP to keep their powder so dry before announcing that Senator Audrey Marks would be the one to carry the party's standard come election day. So in case you've been under a rock, in case you've been in a cave and you've not known what has been happening in northeast Manchester in the past few days, how about this as a refresher?
Senator Audrey Patrice Marks, appointed minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister, with responsibility for efficiency, innovation and digital transformation, is a distinguished Jamaican diplomat and entrepreneur. Her appointment was announced by Prime Minister Andrew Holness in March 2025 following her swearing in as a government senator. Born and raised in St. Mary, Marks brings a wealth of experience to her new role, having previously served as Jamaica's ambassador to the United States and permanent representative to the Organization of American States, the OAS. She holds the distinction of being Jamaica's first female ambassador to the U.S. and the only individual to have served in this role 3 times across 2 different administrations. Her tenure was marked by significant contributions to strengthening bilateral relations and advocating for Jamaica's interests on the international stage. In the private sector, Marks is renowned as the founder of Paymaster Jamaica Limited, the Caribbean's first multi-transaction bill payment system. She holds bachelor's and master's degrees in business administration from the University of the West Indies, Mona, Jamaica, and Nova University in Florida, USA, respectively. At the 28th Annual Legacy Awards Gala in New York City on April 4, 2025, Marks was honored with the prestigious Trailblazer Award by the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies, the AFUWI. The award recognized her exceptional contributions to diplomacy, service to the Jamaican diaspora, and dedication to nation building. In her ministerial capacity, Marks is focused on fostering a seamless digital transformation of Jamaican businesses and government services. She aims to address administrative hurdles, enhance efficiency, and promote innovation within the public sector to drive national development. But that's not all. Marks will be throwing her hat in representational politics as the Jamaica Labour Party's aspirant for northeastern Manchester, a seat long held by the JLP Member of Parliament Audrey, who is set to bow out this year. We discuss on Lead Story Prime.
Lead Story Prime is made for special guests, and indeed, we have a very special one in the house this evening. Senator Marks, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. Happy that you could make time for us on this Tuesday. Yeah. So I think it's appropriate to start here. Many Jamaicans looking at your career, looking at your record, looking at your profile, would say, so here is a distinguished Jamaican, a businesswoman of the highest standard, a diplomat at the highest level. I mean, appointments to the UN are big, but when you're Jamaica's ambassador to Washington, it doesn't get much bigger than that. You have all those accomplishments. You are a mature, you're not a sapling. Why now, after such a career, you have chosen to go into the cut and thrust, into the potential damaging environment, singeing environment of representational politics, Jamaican style?
Well, you have asked it very straight. It was not my immediate first choice, but I'm very much into service to my country. And, at one point in my life, my thought was, I want to be Jamaica's first female billionaire. Mm-hmm. I want to, own businesses, employ people, do innovative things, and earn and become wealthy in the process. But, it's a funny thing. Your mind, your brain can be pursuing that thought, but your mind, when you find that there's something in your mind that occupies your thoughts, mm-hmm. and I'm always thinking about Jamaica's development. I'd go for long walks, and I'd be thinking we could do this better, we could do that better. So that was in my mind over the years. Mm-hmm. But in business, I encountered so many hurdles that I said, I need to find a way to get into service in the country mm-hmm. at the political level, mm-hmm. where I can help to influence policies that will make it easier to do business. Mm-hmm. So that has been a driving motivation for mm-hmm. me. And so when I was asked to come back and be the senator and minister, and we discussed, and I wanted this particular portfolio mm-hmm. where it involved efficiency in government and also in the public service overall, and very important to me, innovation, because I think we need to create an environment that celebrates entrepreneurship and innovation. And then, in order to make those changes, to bring in digital transformation. So the work I'm doing now, my responsibility is something I'm very passionate about. And apart from that, I also believe that this administration, the Andrew Holness-led administration, is doing a good job with the economy. He has a very clear vision of mm-hmm. where we want to go, mm-hmm. where he wants to see the country go. And I've bought into that vision. So when I'm asked to serve in another capacity, to carry out that vision, it's actually my privilege and pleasure to do so.
Yeah. I've always wanted to ask you, still say, of course, ambassador. You're always going to be ambassador. Mm-hmm. How is this Holness administration Jamaica viewed outside of Jamaica? You would have had the benefit of serving 2 terms as our ambassador to Washington, so you'd have met people being placed outside, looking at Jamaica, talking to you about investment opportunities, how they saw the country. Articulate, how do they see us from outside? Oh,
very favorably. It is always such a pleasure. Let me start from just the Organization of American States.
Yes.
We have 34 countries in this Western Hemisphere. And Jamaica is now held up as a model in terms of the progress we have made with democracy.
Yes.
And that started from the 2016 elections, where, as you know, it was a very close election. Well, it actually started from 2007. Mm-hmm. And just how, as a country, we have been able to move from the days of 1980 and to where we would have one-seat majority, we're having peaceful transitions. And so I've always been very proud of that achievement, and the Prime Minister holding on every visit to the United States and his visits to the OAS and the policy direction of the country in that forum is always encouraging democracy in the region, and we are held up as a model, and he is a major spokesperson on that, along with our Foreign Minister, Kamina Johnson-Smith. So in that respect, we are a leader. Now, when you look at what we have achieved in terms of our economic program, again, all the international financial institutions, they hold up Jamaica as a model of fiscal management, of moving from a situation where we were viewed as a basket case at one point, of just being so much in debt, and to have the program and the discipline to move from 149% of debt to GDP to now we are 68%. Yes. And I know I hear, and I saw it in a poll this morning where persons say, you know, but we can't eat that. Yes. You know, we need to see it on the ground.
Reduction
so I'm going to kind of deviate a little bit from your question to say, just on that point, to say it is so important for persons to understand that when all of your money is not going to pay debt, and you can start building up surplus and building up some funds to put into the roads, into water, into health, into education, and the infrastructure to create more businesses so the economy can grow, so that we can start having better prices, you can afford to buy a house. So though you can't reverse things overnight, so but we're on a path, and I want to say to every Jamaican that if we continue on this path, we are going to see the results. Every small man, so to speak, will start feeling it in their pocket once we are able to reach a certain level. So these are things that you will be able to eat.
So. Hear you on that. So here's the thing. We're going to take a break here on Lead Story Prime. She said something very important. It's not been forever that we've changed governments peacefully and without rancor. Recall that 80 was a bloody year, 800 murders, which was an eye-opening number at the time. And don't forget that in 1983, the PNP boycotted the general elections because they were displeased with the quality of the voters list used at that time. Kids, you should thank me for that. We take the break and come back with more. This is Lead Story Prime.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
We have, as a people, been fed a steady diet of information, oftentimes untrue, that nothing nah go on. This is probably the first government that almost every single day of the week could have a groundbreaking, a handing over, a contract signing, a commissioning, because enough things are going on in Jamaica under the Andrew Holness-led government. Enough things. So when they come to you with the negativity about nothing go on, you may not see what is happening. So when you see groundbreaking, we have been working 2 years, 3 years before bringing it through a process, and we have all kinds of projects, not in a pipeline. Our projects are on a track, so we have a train line of projects to come.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Ready, tech, grow. Business is fast, easy, flexible, and costless. Oh, entrepreneurs, let's go digital. The Government of Jamaica and European Union present Digital Jamaica Training Series. Learn how technology grows your business. Choose the right digital tool. Manage your staff, customers, and money digital, data security and privacy, artificial intelligence. We'll be in every parish. Apply online, www.jbdc.net. Log on fast. Digital Jamaica, powering connectivity for MSMEs.
Back with us on Lead Story Prime, my guest is Senator Audrey Marks. She is the JLP's standard bearer in Northeast Manchester. Audley Shaw, you know, has held that seat since 1993. In fact, the elections have been contested in Northeast Manchester since 1966. That's when the seat entered the fray. First, in the 1967 elections, it was won by Labourite William McLaren that year, and it has only ever once been under PNP control when in 1980 89. Calvin Lynn, the man who owns and runs a funeral parlor in Manchester, still going strong as a businessman, Calvin Lynn, he won it in 89. And then Audley Shaw took control. And Manayard has been in situ in the seat ever since. But he says that his time has come. He is moving aside, and Senator Audrey Marks is the person to step in to fill the breach for the jail. We were talking with her about her motivation to come into politics, and of course we'll ultimately get to what she has to offer the people of Northeast Manchester. But I go back to your profile, Senator Marks, and you have to bear with me on this, because again, there was a time when Jamaicans would say, why would somebody so accomplished, so respected across the political divide, not just dip their toe into the political waters, but immerse herself in it at this time when you automatically being a part of the JLP, there's a large segment of Jamaicans who view and treat everything you do and say with suspicion. What it is that nudged you to this point?
It's simply the desire to make a difference. And this election is clearly very close. And so if I'm convinced that what this government is doing, the path we're on, is the best part for Jamaica at this time, and I'm asked to serve in a capacity to continue, to make best effort to continue on this path, I see it as a duty to respond, and to respond positively. Because, you know, there are many paths that will take you to the same destination and the same goal, really. And my goal is to serve a few years in government to achieve the purpose of transforming our bureaucracy, bringing more efficiency to how we do business and how we offer services, and utilizing technology to leapfrog where we are now. And also, very importantly, I had so many difficulties as a business person. Yes. I want to change the culture. I really want us to have a culture where business people, and especially entrepreneurs and innovators, feel welcomed, they feel supported, and they will, even if they fail, they know that there's a system of support. I say this all the time, Silicon Valley is not a place with some unique gifts. It's a place that they have created policies that support and encourage and celebrates entrepreneurship and innovation. So they now have a very wealthy economy in that area in San Francisco, because people innovate and they build businesses, and they have the leading tech companies in the world. There's no reason why Jamaica, with all our innovative and creative people, should be here struggling at 6,000, 7,000 GDP per capita. Yeah. We should be way above this. Yes. And I've bought in the vision that we can be much better, and we can do much better. And I'll do everything that I can to achieve that goal, and leave a legacy for my children and grandchildren to live in a better Jamaica. That's my motivation.
You've made the point more than once so far in this interview about the difficulties that you had doing business. Articulate some of those practical difficulties and the solutions that you would have fashioned over time when you were doing business full time, and now you're seeing it through the lens of someone who's a policymaker. So the difficulty first of just accessing capital, getting bank accounts. When you do pass that and start a business, if you are not someone with a name and a network, you can be a target. There will be efforts to put you out of business. And you suffered that? And
I suffered that on many occasions. In fact, it's so funny. This week, my first introduction to the political scene in Northeast Manchester was on Tuesday, when I was introduced to the delegates in Christiana as the aspirant. And by Thursday, I'd gotten a letter from some business owners that they were given 1 month's notice to quit their shops. And they were there, they have been there 10, 15, 20 years. And, you know, I got involved right away, because it reminded me that this is why I'm here. whether it was a political situation or not, just to see again small business people being taken advantage of by those. There's no way it can be conscionable to give a business that has had a location for 10, 15
That's
years,
a generation.
one month's notice.
Yes.
So just this, it was my first kind of test of of seeing how I can make a difference being in government and as a candidate. So I called a meeting on Sunday. It was very interesting. It could have been a dramatic situation because the other candidate actually turned up. And he turned up to say that the owners, the Lins that you mentioned earlier, had rescinded the notice. But, you know, as I said to him and to everyone there, it's not about that you have rescinded the notice. It is because that notice would not have been a proper notice. You cannot give commercial tenants 1 month's notice. It's just not, it's not legal and it's not fair. And so, but I seized the opportunity to speak with those tenants to say, yes, we will look about the legal considerations, but I also want you to think further and to think bigger and to think of how you can own your shop. So I actually brought some financial persons there to show how we can do a mixture of funding to make cost of capital cheaper and to do special funding arrangements like graduated mortgages so that they can actually afford to buy their shops maybe in the same range as what they are paying for rent, and they can own it after and they can start building generational wealth because too many Jamaicans don't own property, don't have assets. That's why they can be kicked around. And for me, that's a passion. I would like to see more people have a stake in this country that we call our own.
You know what is also true as I hear you talk about business? I have been one of those who've said, who said that one of the limitations for many of our politicians is that many of our politicians are bright youngsters coming out of school, going through university, landing a job, immersed in the politics, get elected to the House of Representatives, party wins the election, gets a ministerial post, and you're running a ministry without ever having done business. I feel that that's a severe limitation. And if I look back, Senator Marks, along the line, for instance, of our finance ministers, and those, the critics across the political divide agree, did a very good job. Edward Philip George Siaga did a very, very good job, people would say, but he was a man of business when he went to the finance ministry. Dr. Nigel Clark ran one of the biggest businesses in the Caribbean, so it was obvious in how he went about his job as finance minister. We've seen others who've been bookish in their approach, have not done so well, and you say, you see, you don't understand business, which is why the policies that you have pushed have not redounded to the interest of business people. Long run up to the question, but here's the question now. Your experience in business, in diplomacy, was that one of what my producer says I have to take the break now and I have to even pose the question. Oh, these people are my producer, I love you. Let's take the break and come right back.
Power in great moments. If you have financial needs, Chris and Charles will fix them for you. Power in great moments since 1992. Oh, we have it all. Power in great moments. Relax, you got Chris and Charles. Oh, we have it all. When you think alone, think Chris and Charles.
Speaking with Senator Audrey Marks, she is the JLP standard bearer in Northeast Manchester. So let me put this issue again and make it short this time. The issue of your experience in business and diplomacy, and of course life experience. Did those things make you very confident when taking this step into representational politics that you would have an advantage over some of your colleagues and your predecessors, given the all-encompassing nature of your experience, which is, of course, above many of those who just come in with just being bright and being in a professional field as their recommendations? You have different experiences to them. Do you think that those things convinced you that, look, I can be a success at this?
Well, I didn't look at it in a way of comparing myself to others, but I felt that all my experiences, my training, this is what I could bring to bear in that overall goal of contributing to making Jamaica a better country, and especially a better country where we could to do business.
Yes.
Because an immediate goal of mine is to have us in the top 5 place in the world in terms of ease of doing business. Because that will start a whole ripple effect in terms of investments and speed of which the average Jamaican can start seeing a bump up in their income because we have more activities going on in the economy. And as I don't know if you heard me in the Senate, I'm pushing very hard for some new policies that will entrench ownership to Jamaicans for major investments coming into the country. Because I think part of our problem here is that we don't have enough equity in the society.
Yes.
And we need to give more Jamaicans an opportunity to own businesses and to own, as I said before, property. So I feel that being in government at this time, my job is to really push policies and legislations as needed to achieve that goal of giving more Jamaicans a stake in this country, so that we can start breaking generational poverty and building generational wealth.
There's a colleague of mine who asks a very simple question, Senator Marks, whenever things come to him about task accomplishment. He says simply, how? And I'll apply the how to you, because for generations, red tape bureaucracy has been the bane of the existence of successive governments.
Yes.
We hear businessmen bawl every day, the private sector bawl every day, governments bawl all the time about red tape locking up billions of dollars from being spent.
Yes.
You have been given the specific task. In fact, you asked to be given the task of cutting red tape, reducing bureaucracy. How?
Oh, it's not very difficult, actually. It can be difficult because these things have been built up over time. But for every activity, for every outcome, there's a process. And what has happened in Jamaica is that we have allowed the process to become very complex. So if there are 3 or 5 steps that you could take from an application to an approval, over the years, we have allowed it to become 15 steps. So my job is really to go through many processes, starting with the ones that have the most pain for our public, and just reviewing those processes, cutting back the levels, or the steps that you have to go through, and where we can automate the processes, where you don't even have to go and stand in lines in a tax office or anywhere, or even at the bank, because more systems are on your app, on your phone, on your computer. These are ways that we will start cutting back, cutting the many steps and make it more efficient and more timely to do business. So
you're flattening processes.
Flattening, yes. And actually this week, if I had not changed my focus to get involved in the political representation, I would actually have been in Estonia. Estonia is one of the few countries, they were under occupation for a long time. And when they came out of occupation, they realized they were so way behind in Europe that they turned to technology, and they have been using technology to change all their systems in terms of how they do processes and activities in the country. And they became one of the first basically fully digital society. And that allowed their economy to leapfrog into where they are now in the small grouping of countries that are, if not developed, near developed, in 20 years.
In 20 years.
In 20 years.
Remarkable. We can do that too.
And we can do that. I see it very clearly. And that's one of the, it's a positive and a drawback of being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You have very clear vision
Yes.
of where you want to go, and sometimes you don't see the obstacles,
Yes.
but I'm very clear about where Jamaica can be in a very short while if we keep the focus.
Excellent. She mentioned Estonia. Estonia is the country of one of my favorite footballers, Valerie Karpin, who played for the former Yugoslavia as well. Break time on Lead Story. Some of the politics when we return from this break.
Open a deposit account in the JN Bank Savings Streams promotion and save monthly for a chance to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Peru. Enter now. The time by JN Bank Savings Streams promotion is
8:30.
Every day starts with care. Care that's always close. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is where you go for everything you need. From your morning routine to life's biggest moments. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is always by your side. Whether it's prescriptions or household essentials, trust the care that's close to home. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
Rise and shine with the mighty. Start your morning with a blessing in Wednesday service. From the service to the shelves, we head to Sunrise Book Club. Then we'll hang with the Troupette crew in Wags. And we'll wrap the sunrise party with Free Zone. Why Not Wednesday is powered by Flow. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Audrey Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's a live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Back with us on Lead Story Prime. So eyebrows were raised when it was announced that Ambassador Audrey Marks would be ending her tour of duty in Washington as Jamaica's most senior diplomat in the U.S. capital to come home to be a part of government. People said, okay, they reconciled their feelings when they heard that she was to be in the Senate, because the Senate, of course, is outside of the partisan political fray. That's the review chamber of the government, where bills are reviewed as they are passed through, and she was insulated from the cut and thrust of representational politics, which can take on a very, very hard edge in this country of Jamaica, where it is very competitive between the two giants of the political scene, the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party. So you can imagine how hearts fluttered when they heard that her name was being mentioned with Northeast Manchester, and people said, no, foolishness. Ambassador Marks would never leave the Senate, where she can achieve so much and she can proceed with her transformation and cutting red tape and getting processes streamlined. There is no need for her to go into the House. But here she is, sitting with us on This Day in Sports, June 17, 2025, waiting to be nominated when the time comes as a candidate in Northeast Manchester. And so I say, Ambassador Marks, what is it that you couldn't have achieved in the Senate that you say that has motivated you to want to achieve them through the House?
Well, I can't immediately think of a specific thing. Oh yes, I can. The most important one is that, as I've said before, I'm very motivated by the vision of Prime Minister Holness. He has a bold vision, and I see what he's doing in terms of transforming our economy. And you asked earlier about his international reputation. And over the last almost 10 years where he has interacted with President Obama and then President Biden and then President Trump, before President Trump and then President Biden. I've seen him on the international stage doing a very good job and really supporting me in policies that have made us be able to work seamlessly across 3 administrations. So he's very much an international statesman. And more than anything else, I've bought into his vision of financial inclusion in Jamaica and transforming our economy and our country through better policies and stability. And as a member of the House of Representatives, and when I'm successful in adding Northeast Manchester to the tally of seats on the election night, that will be a role that I can play in ensuring his election to continue being the Prime Minister, to lead this country and to continue us on this path of growth and recovery.
So let me see if I hear you right. Or, well, let me go at it this way. Is it that you were comfortable in the Senate,
yes,
but the Prime Minister came to you and said, listen, I need you in Northeast Manchester, so it would be good if you can assist me there. Is that what happened?
Well, that part is true too, but I'm also saying that apart from the Prime Minister asking me to be a member of the representative team,
yes,
I personally believe that that's a role that I can play in ensuring his continued leadership of the country.
Hear you on that.
Yes,
all right. Northeast Manchester, the divisions, Walderston, Christiana, and Craighead, of course, where Omar Miller is the councillor, the lone JLP councillor in the constituency now after the local elections of February 24 last year. Country people see themselves, well, you know, in Jamaica, Senator Marks, they say country politics is different from town politics.
Yes.
Yeah, and the MPs in rural Jamaica, they must maintain this constant connection with their constituents. It doesn't matter what is happening in the constituency. You could be providing all of the amenities that you promised. The fact that Miss Matty not seeing you, and Uncle Errol not seeing you, and Miss Bev, who have the 4 picnic who live at the front of Craighead, Craighead community, the fact that they are not seeing you is a significant part of the discontent if it builds up. It doesn't matter what you're doing. How do you reconcile, given what you have done up to this point, that you'll be able to reorientate how you do your business to allow you to spend enough time pressing flesh with your constituents?
So, no, that part is, once I go through the process of making the decision, and once I'm in, I'm all in. And so, a rural constituency is not a problem for me because that's my background. I'm from a rural constituency. And
which one?
Western St. Mary.
There you go.
And my family is called Dressiki. It's more known as Gale. It's probably better known in terms of the bigger community next door. It's represented by Bobby Montague.
Yes.
And but I also have family from Manchester and St. Elizabeth, so I have roots in that side. I used to actually go down to South Manchester early mornings, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the mornings to buy seedlings for my farm in St. Mary. And I've also operated businesses in Christiana and in that area. Many of the persons there, they are farmers, they are, you know, small business. And that is kind of my background. I start out as, I guess the word would be higgler.
Yes.
Mr. Saga called it a fancy name.
Informal commercial importer.
And that gave me a
that was real fancy.
Yeah, and that gave me a good base. I was traveling up and down and buying my stuff and coming back and selling. And then I moved from there into farming. I took over doing some farming that my grandparents used to do. I was farming banana and
you had a 100-acre farm, didn't you?
Yes, mint and papayas. I was doing farming. And then I did also a taxi business and a bus business. So I've done, you know, nightclubs. I've done so many types of business. I understand the small business landscape, and I understand being a rural community and being a small business rural community. But in terms of my mindset now, once I'm in. So I've now actually gone down, look around. I've been, traveling through, speaking with persons, and I've identified where I'm buying a home. So I see that as my home.
You're buying a home in Northeast Manchester?
I'm buying a home in Northeast Manchester. So, when I started to drive in, my spirit connected with the place. It's beautiful, it's cool, and the people are hardworking, real Jamaicans. And from all the conversations we have been having, it has been, it's almost feel like home to me, a homecoming. And so it was easy for me to make the decision to also have a home in Northeast Manchester, and to ensure that I'm going to be available and that I'll be able to be a good representative, both in the constituency as well as nationally.
Did you have misgivings about the timing of your announcement as the party standard bearer? Because as I said in my intro, Northeast Manchester was left vacant for a while. I myself got calls directly from people complaining about what the JLP was doing in the seat and how nobody was there and so forth. Did you say this to the Prime Minister, that maybe the timing wasn't to your advantage, and of course someone like you doesn't go into something that losing is a real possibility?
No, for me, I would not have been more motivated by a safe seat versus a difficult seat. My thing is, where's the greatest need? Because I believe if I have a clear vision and I'm prepared to work, and people buy in with me, I'll be successful wherever I go. And that has been my life story. And you do your best and you show people who you are. And more than likely, if your vision aligns with theirs, they will give you an opportunity. But I did recognize that there were some issues in the constituency, and I did ask the party's leadership to ensure that those things are resolved before I get in. And they did resolve them. The two potential candidates, Mr. McCulsey and Councillor Miller, they both expressed, they had their various discussions, and they expressed their endorsement of my becoming the candidate. And once I know that they were comfortable with me, and then I met the leadership, the political leadership in terms of the delegates, and they expressed their comfort, then I was comfortable going forward. And I'm working very closely now with those same persons. Councillor Miller is my senior advisor right now in terms of what is happening. Oh, he's your senior advisor? In terms of what is happening in the constituency, because at this point he's the only elected representative apart from the MP. So he's on the ground, and we're working very closely and very well together. And Mr. McCulsey has also expressed that he's available and ready to work as I build out the team. So that situation is very resolved, and we are moving forward. So you were clear to say the delegates and senior, of course, leadership within the constituency and in the party. More important than perhaps them, the party workers would of course, some of the delegates would be party workers. Have you had time to, and I know everything has happened quickly, in a week, you haven't met everybody. Not yet. But have you had a chance to hear from party workers about their feeling about pounding the pavement, and to tell people to vote for Audrey Marks come election day? So I'm going about it in a systematic way. So we had those initial meetings, and then this Sunday I met with supervisors, meeting with the management team, and then we're having party workers, all the workers on Saturday, on Sunday, and then over the next week, I'm practically moving to Manchester. I have to be here to do my work, but I'm going to be down there a lot, and making sure all the stakeholders are touched within this month. And so this month, a lot of my focus is on the internal teams, and then after these first 2 weeks, then I'll start moving out much more continuously to the voters. The public. You know, sometimes as we go to the next break, Senator Marks, sometimes in situations like the one you find yourself in, whereas there was a person
anointed by the incumbent, and then there's another strong aspirant who a lot of people like, and then somebody new comes in. They themselves, the two figures, Miller and McCluskey, may say, yes, Senator Marks, we accept you and we will work to assist you. But senior people close to them, the individual gentlemen, may not be so hot about your entry. Have you gotten the impression that not only are these gentlemen fully behind you, but the people who support them are also of the same view?
I believe so. And one of my first call was to the MP, Audrey, who is my friend, and I expressed to him what was happening, that I was asked, and I would want to know that I have his support. And you know, he was very supportive in being a person involved in the discussions with the other two aspirants, and coming to this place where we have full support. So he's very involved. Yeah.
Excellent. Let's take the time signal and come right back. Our final segment after this with Senator Audrey Marks.
Protecting Jamaica's borders is a key priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. The JCA will remain vigilant and resolute in effectively fulfilling this mandate. The time brought to you by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
8:45.
The gateway for Jamaica's athletes to several international competitions, including the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, opens from Thursday, June 26 to Sunday, June 29 for the J3A Junior and Senior National Championships at the National Stadium, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. each day. Admission, finish area season ticket, $8,000. Daily, $1,000 to $3,000. Regular grandstand season ticket, $6,500. Daily, $1,000 to $2,500. Tickets go on sale at MysticOnlineTix.com. Starting June 11, Pegasus Hotel and the Stadium Ticket Office. Starting Monday, June 23. The action will be sizzling.
In a world where innovation meets tradition, agriculture is evolving like never before. From the latest sustainable farming technologies to age-old practices passed down through generation, agriculture is
precious to me.
I love the animals. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I love working.
Join us right here on CVM TV every Sunday during news at 7 as we explore the people, the science, and the breakthroughs that are shaping the way we grow, eat, and live. You don't want to miss it. This is Farming Forward.
Rise and shine with the mighty. Start your morning with a blessing in Wednesday service. From the service to the shelves, we head to Sunrise Book Club. Then we'll hang with the Troupette crew in Wags. And we'll wrap the sunrise party with Free Zone. Why Not Wednesday is powered by Flow.
You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
It's a case of on your marks, get set, go for the folks in Northeast Manchester. Senator Audrey Marks is the woman that they'll be looking to give full support to in their bid to get her to Gordon House as MP. She'll have to fight off the challenge of Valentin Wint, a man who's been there before, has failed to overcome Audley Shaw, and he has another crack at getting the MP's chair. And he said on the weekend at a workers' meeting there attended by the PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell that he is confident that this time he'll get the job done. Senator Marks, I was asking you before the break about the fact of the senior people close to Councillor Omar Miller, close to Hydron McCluskey in Northeast Manchester, if you had their support as well, because it is as crucial as those gentlemen themselves that those of their most strident supporters buy into Team Audrey for elections.
Yes, yes. Very important, and very important that I show respect to those persons and to recognize the situation and that they might be hurt by the process, and to give space. And last Sunday we had a supervisors meeting. Some workers also turned up, but the meeting with workers we were this Sunday. And we had a really open and frank discussion. I was on my feet just conversing, giving a bit about my background and my vision and what I'd like to represent if they accept me. And then we had a long question and answer session and just talking. And many of those persons who would have not naturally embraced me because of their long relationship with the other potential candidates at the time, they expressed their disappointment, and we spoke about it, and they all, as far as I know, have said that they are now prepared to support me as a candidate, and I'm very grateful for that. You know, it's one of another thing that I like about the constituency is that the persons there, they're, you know, pretty well educated, and they are not afraid to share their opinions and to speak openly. And I appreciate that, because, you know, it's very difficult if people are behind you and, in the sidelines quarreling and mumbling. But when people come up front and speak their mind and say this is what they're about and what they like and what they dislike, you can work with that. But I certainly can work with that, you know. So it was a good meeting, and I'm very appreciative of the people that I've met so far and their opinions, and I totally respect where they're coming from. And I expect this sort of dialogue to continue this week with the management team and with the workers on Sunday. And I expect that as a united front, we're going to start some serious work come July.
Every constituency, Senator Marks, has nooks and crannies, especially the rural ones. And as I was saying to you earlier, the value in a potential voter seeing you with their own two eyes is extremely high. And people, you know, people are. So wait, she went to this lane and had a meeting. Oh, she never come over here. And those people will put out by that and say, well, me now support her because she found the time to spend time with them and she never come here. I say that to say you have a very hectic schedule on your hands trying to get labor rights and others in Northeast Manchester to see you between now and when the Prime Minister flies the gate. It's a daunting challenge. You've overcome so much in your life so far. Are you ready for this? Because this is unlike anything you faced before, I can tell you.
Yes, but I'm ready. I'm ready. I've bought my hiking shoes and my walking shoes, and I'm ready. Because, you know, I think it's well worth it. And I something that I actually enjoy. I enjoy the process of meeting new people, hearing their views, and especially, you know, again, people that I've met so far in Christiana and in Wollaston. Past week, I was in Devon at a church convention. Warm, wonderful people. I enjoy that part of the process so far, and I'm looking forward to doing more.
There was a time, you know, Senator Marks, when an MP represented the first time that a constituent would see somebody who was a doctor with a PhD or a medic. The first time a constituent to be able to see a lawyer in the flesh. Those days are gone. You are meeting people in your constituency who are highly qualified professionals themselves, eminent persons of all walks of life. And as you said, a highly educated electorate, highly educated about electoral matters, and just highly educated broadly. How do you see yourself straddling the messaging, meaning communicating with people of various levels at various ends of the education totem in terms of transmitting the message? Because some people get that wrong because they can only speak to business people and people who wear suits. They have difficulty talking to country people. Miss Etwe ride the donkey. These people, are you cut out for that? Do you have that in you? Can you converse across groups and demographics?
Yes, I'm very comfortable with that. One, again, because of my rural background. Two, because of the type of businesses I've done. I've had to polish up over the years, but if you have been a farmer, a taxi operator, a bus operator, the difficulty was being a diplomat. So I'm pretty comfortable talking with everyone. But most important is for you to know that every person, no matter where they are, it's really about what are your aspirations and how can we have a meeting of the minds about what you want to achieve in your life. And I think I am genuinely interested in people, and I'm interested to know what is it that you would like for me to assist you with in terms of you achieving what you want. And that's the basis of a conversation with everyone, no matter what position they are in the society. So I'm very comfortable because, again, I have a genuine interest to know how can I serve you better. Yeah.
The Labour Rights need no encouragement to vote for the JLP's candidate in Northeast Manchester when the time comes, because the PNP supporters are going to vote for the PNP candidate. But there's a large group who are looking at the profile of the candidates and how they speak to them to make their ultimate decision. Why should somebody in that group of not JLP, not PNP say, you know what, I'm going to give Miss Audrey the X?
Yeah. Well, I think at the very start, just my life history. I'm into, I think persons can see that from everything I've done, it's about providing service and making a difference. The businesses I've done, it's about providing solutions, making a difference. When I went to Washington, we were in a crisis, and my job was to solve that crisis and build a relationship, which we have done. Both bilaterally, multilaterally, and even with our diaspora. It was pretty fragmented, and I've made a big effort to bring people to the table, to have them connect to what is happening in Jamaica and how they like to see themselves be part of the process. And I also invest in people. I think I've started and operate one of the largest scholarship programs in the US out of the embassy for young people. And I did the same thing here. So I believe in investing in our young people. I believe in investing in our people. And my life work to date is about service. And so, you know, you can say everything, but if people look at what I've done and what I'm saying that I plan to do together, I think when you're real, people hear that, and hopefully they'll give me an opportunity to prove it by voting for me to be their member of parliament.
And finally, this third term that the Holiness administration is pursuing, I'm sure you're going to say they deserve it.
Oh, very much, because I've been saying that, you know, consistently, that what this administration has done in terms of on all levels. I went to the economy because that's our passion for us, you know, getting to a growth agenda.
Yes.
But socially, you know, the unemployment levels going down, creating more and different jobs. What we have done, even with crime and violence, there was a time when many representatives or ministers of national security say, only God, we can only pray about it. We are literally doing all the things that we need to do to bring down crime and violence. To the point where I think the last numbers are
44% decline.
44% decline, the lowest since 1991. And you know, the Prime Minister had said some time ago that his vision is for us to have a Jamaica where you can sleep with your windows and doors. And people, every now and then that comes up like, that's not so. It's not so yet. But we have to set big goals, big vision, and then work hard towards achieving that. So we are now down 43%. If we continue like this, we'll go to where we have no murders. And so I've seen a track record of achievements that I want to continue, and I want to be part of that success for Jamaica, land we love.
Hear you on that. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
My pleasure to be here with you.
That's it. Lead Story Prime. Senator Audrey Marks, JLP standard bearer in Northeast Manchester, soon to be candidate. That's my time. Thanks to my production team. After this is Orville Higgins talking sports.
the internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Yo, this is Bungie God.
And this is Rayan Lyons. See it happen
on CVM TV.
See it happen on CVM TV. That's what he